Hey, good morning. I'm Dr. Joe Rabinovitz, licensed psychologist here in sunny Boca Raton, Florida. I was thinking this morning while I was driving to work about how easily we get in our own way and we actually start to destroy our own dreams. Pretend, for example, that on your drive to work this morning you happen to pass a car, and it's a car that you'd really love to have or a car that you've always dreamed about. And just as you start to think about what it would be like to be sitting in that car and driving that car, an alarm bell inside your head goes off. And you start to quickly say things to yourself like, well, you know what, that car's not for me, and I could never afford that, and that car is just for other people. And then rationalization kicks in. And we use rationalization to keep ourselves locked in our own little prisons. And you start to rationalize and you start to say, well, this car is almost paid off and the brakes are pretty good and it only has 64,000 miles. And why was I even thinking that I would like that other car? And then you continue on your way. And maybe a few blocks later, especially if you're dropping your kids off at school this morning, you happen to drive by a particular private school. And not that there's anything wrong with the public school that your children are going to, but imagine if you thought for a second, boy, I'd love to send my kids to that school, and I wonder how their life would be different if I was able to afford them their private school education. But just as you really start to think about this, again, rationalization kicks in, and you say to yourself, well, we could never afford that, and I could never make the payments. And then to make it worse, you start to feel guilty and you start to feel inadequate. So before you can even flesh your dream out, bang, it's back and it's locked up inside. And it continues. Maybe you pick your kids up after school, and on the way home, your son says, Mom or Dad, can we stop and get some sneakers? And even though you are prepared to buy your sneakers at Payless or Target, which are not high-end shoe stores for children, you know that until the end of the month, you don't have enough money, so you have to wait. And you start to think about what it would be nice to just pull over at the mall and spend some money and buy some sneakers, but you put that away. And you again start to rationalize and you say, well, these shoes are fine and the holes aren't that big, etc. And maybe you're at work today, or maybe you've worked 10, 12, or 14 hours at a job that you don't really like, and it's not paying you what you want, and it's not giving you a good sense of who you are. And as you start to dream about, well, I'd like to get out there and someday I'm going to, and then very quickly the alarm goes off and you say, who am I kidding? I'd never be able to do that. Or maybe your situation is similar to mine and you're fortunate enough to have a great job and you get paid well, but the bottom line is no matter how hard you work, you will never get to the other side where you can start to slow down or perhaps even retire. See, folks, we're really good at rationalization. We spend a lot of time looking down and convincing ourselves that because we have it so much better than so many people, that that's okay. Why don't we look up? Why don't we start to look up and say, well, I want that, and I want my kids to have that, etc. But the bottom line is, unless you take action today, unless you are willing to look yourself hard right in the mirror and say to yourself, I'm going to start pursuing my dream. I'm not going to spend the next 5 or 10 or 15 years convincing myself that I can't do it, because the truth is you can, and it starts with a decision. And there are plenty of good opportunities out there. I have one that I offer to you because I think it's the best. I would love you to join with me in this community of prosperity. Let me help you take a look at something that if you get on board, if you're willing to work hard, if you are passionate, if you have integrity, and if you are willing to start to take better care of yourself, then I want you and my partners want you, and we want you to join us in building this community of prosperity. I hope to hear from you very, very soon. You deserve it, your family deserves it, and the bottom line is there are millions and millions of kids out there who need our help. So come join us and I'll talk with you soon. Have a great day.